What's going on, y'all? Jarod Anderson here, your financial social work coach. Welcome to another episode of the Work to Wellness to Wealth podcast. And my mission is to help you improve your financial, mental, and emotional well-being. And especially during this holiday season, I want to make sure that you stay intact. And so, man, I got an exciting episode to share with you all on today's episode. And I simply want to talk about 7 ways to protect your financial, mental, and emotional health during this holiday season. So, holidays is supposed to be a time of joy, peace, festivities, hanging out with family, sharing Christmas gifts, all of those other different things, eating Thanksgiving dinner, which about to do that in a couple of days, man. Me and my family, we're gonna be hosting this year, but it's supposed to be a fun time. But for a lot of y'all, it's not necessarily that fun. For some people, it's a stressful time. That stress can be mental, financial, emotional stress. A lot of people get into a lot of debt over the holiday season. You spending more than you probably really should be spending. And so I just want to take some time to just share with you some quick tips to make sure that you kind of maintain your financial wellness, your mental and your emotional wellness this holiday season. So this is going to be a quick episode, but it's going to be powerful. So make sure that you take some good notes. And as always, let me read my financial disclaimer so y'all don't get it twisted. I am not a financial advisor, and the content of this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Your financial situation is unique, so please do your research and consult a qualified financial advisor who is familiar with your personal circumstances. I am not responsible for any financial losses or gains resulting from the use of the information provided in this podcast. So let's go ahead and get started, man. Like I said, this is going to be a relatively quick episode, but here's the tip number one. And again, these are 7 ways to protect your financial, mental, and emotional health during this holiday season. All right, so tip number one, budget before you buy. Now, this is so important because a lot of time you get caught up in that holiday spirit, that Christmas spirit, and you just take that credit card and you start going cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. You just start charging up and you don't even think about how much you spent until after it's all said and done. And then you look at your credit card statement or you look at your credit card balance and you realize, God dog, I didn't realize I spent that much. So what I want you to do this year is I want you to budget before you buy. And so what does that mean? Create a detailed holiday budget that includes gift, travels, entertainment, whatever you plan on doing. Now, here's the thing. We're getting pretty close to the holiday season already. And so, a lot of you may not have the time to really save as much as you would like to. So just start thinking in terms of next year. You need to start budgeting as early as possible, but it's not too late this year. I want you to, even with your next couple of paychecks, I want you to just set a couple of dollars aside and try to stay as close within that number as possible. I know it may not be possible to stick exclusively to whatever that budgetary number is, but you can try to stay to it as close as possible. But the most important thing is just be conscious of your spending this year. I just want you to be aware, okay, now where am I at now? I'm at $200 now. So I know I'm going to have to start dipping into my savings or my emergency fund. So be conscious of what you're spending. Okay. The other thing, use a app, or even if it's just pen and paper, I want you to just kind of itemize out some of your expenses. So for instance, this is what I'm doing. I know that we're going to be hosting this holiday season, and so we're going to be spending a little bit of extra money for food. So in my mind, I already have a number. I want to try to stay within this certain number in terms of what we spend for food and making sure that the house is nice and presentable. Now, am I going to stay within that number? Maybe, maybe not, but at least I have a goal in mind and I know what my magic number is. So when I go over that number, that means, I'm going to have some extra money to start paying back. All right, so that's tip number one, budget before you buy. Two, and this is a very important one. Tip number two, you have to set some boundaries. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me read this. Communicate your financial and personal limits to your family and friends. So this may sound a little bit, a little bit unorthodox, but tell your family and friends, it's just like, look, this is what I'm able to do this year. I am not going to go over this amount. Listen, I'm not going to be able to buy gifts for everybody and their kids and their cousins this year. Set some boundaries for yourself where your finances are concerned. And here again, it's kind of like the first tip, budget before you buy, but set some boundaries for yourself, even where your mental state, your mental and emotional state is concerned. If you know certain things stress you out over the holiday season, I need you to put some boundaries in place so those things don't have the same access that they did to you last year. So you have to set some boundaries. So if you know you got some toxic friends, or if you have some relatives who, always puts you in a place where you don't feel like being, or just going out, sometimes you may spend more than what you have to spend. You need to set some boundaries. But look, you can't wait until the situation is upon you to set the boundary. You have to think prior to, listen, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm not going to do. So if you always get into a certain conversation or a certain argument with family members, especially over this holiday season, we came through a very I'll say divisive political season. So you already know, if we get to talking about politics, there's going to be some disagreements. So you need to make a mental note, put this boundary up. I am not talking politics, because if I start talking politics, we're going to have a disagreement and we're going to have some issues up in here today. So set the boundary. If you see it coming up, no, not doing it, not getting involved in this conversation, because it always goes sideways and I always end up getting my pressure up. So set the boundaries beforehand. Mental boundaries, protect your emotional self by setting boundaries, and set some financial boundaries. Okay, another important aspect of setting boundaries is practice saying no. Practice saying no. Okay. So no is a good boundary word. No means don't come any further. You stay right where you are. That could even be where your spending is concerned. So sometimes you may see that extra item in the store that you didn't plan on getting, like, oh, this would be great to get. Okay, but is this going to overextend me financially? If it is, guess what? You need to practice saying the word no. Practice with me right now. Let's put a quick scenario up before you. So you're in the store and you see this perfect gift. You already bought this person a gift, but you think, oh, they may like this too. But you already got them something. And you're thinking, like, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and get it and I'll just pay it off in January. No, we're not going to do that this year. You see how simple that is? Don't wait till the situation to practice it. Start now. Nope, not going to do that. All right, let's go to tip number 3. So let me overemphasize this one more time. This is the action step that I want you to take over the holiday season. Practice saying no gracefully to commitments or expenses that don't align with your well-being. Because we're not gonna put up with the stress and all of the drama this year, man. We already prepared for it. So do what you got to do. You know what I'm talking about. All right. Next step is prioritize self-care. So for this one, schedule regular downtimes for relaxation and reflection. So, if you find yourself getting too busy and it's caught up in the holiday rush, and, if you're hosting, I know we're hosting this year, like I said, be intentional about just taking some time away for yourself. And that could mean I'm going to go and take a walk. That could mean I'm going to just go and lock my door in my room for a couple of minutes and just chill out and relax for a little while. And these are really simple things, but they're probably things that you wouldn't think about doing unless you are intentional and you give some pre-thought to it. So that's why I'm bringing these up to you now, because when those moments hit over these next couple of weeks, I want you to remember my voice and just like, you know what? Jarod told me that there was probably going to be some stressful times where I needed to pull away and practice some self-care and relaxation for myself. So I just need you to make sure that you follow through and actually do it, okay? But this holiday season, we are prioritizing self-care, wellness, and your overall well-being, all right? Number 4, practice mindful giving. So for this one, focus on meaningful rather than expensive gifts. Now, I know for children, we want to buy, exactly what they want. And if you can do that, that's fine. But here again, just being conscious, setting some boundaries, being mindful of where your finances are. Maybe you need to focus more so on buying meaningful gifts. Now, let me be clear. Meaningful doesn't mean you just go and pick up the first little things from the dollar store. Now, I know we practice in being mindful with our finances, but put some thought actually in the gift, okay? So a gift doesn't necessarily have to be expensive. You don't necessarily have to spend a lot of money going out doing a lot of different things, but give some thought to it and make it meaningful and of substance, okay? So be mindful, practice mindful gift giving. So for this one, you might think of some DIY things. You might say, okay, you know what? I'm going to make something, or I'm going to create something that's going to have a lasting memory that can last over a number of years, versus something that you might get someone and they might, you know, look at it during Christmas. And y'all know, y'all been here too. You get some of those gifts where, you maybe use it 1 or 2 times and then it goes somewhere in the back of a closet and you never see it again. So just be mindful of your gift giving and focus more so on the meaning than the dollar value. Tip number 5, embrace mindfulness. So stay present in the moment. Don't get so stressed out about, I got to do this, and this. I got to go shopping. I got to go Christmas shopping. I got to do all this, got to do this. Or, on the other side, you're reflecting on things that happened in the past. Well, they didn't give me a gift last year, or this happened last year, or maybe it was even something harmful, or not harmful, but just maybe something that happened to you in previous years that probably made you feel not the greatest. And you know what? Sometimes you just got to move on. Now, in terms of if you had a loved one that maybe passed during the holidays, yeah, I get that. I had a real close friend of mine that passed. It's been maybe almost about 20, 22 or 23 years now. And I still think about him every holiday season. I still think about that time. But you know what? Sometimes if I find myself going too far to the left, I got it's like, okay, bring yourself back to the present. So I want you to practice mindfulness. Just enjoy the moment. That's something that my brother always tells me, regardless of what's going on. He said, Rod, enjoy the moment. So that's what I want to challenge you this holiday season, regardless of what all you have going on and future obligations. And you may even be thinking already into 2025. I know I am. I've already started planning. But don't forget to just stay present and enjoy the moment that you're in. So what does that look like? Sometimes you might have to just stop and practice deep breathing. That's one way to really reground yourself and get back to the present. Just take a deep breath. And a lot of times that'll calm you down and kind of bring you back into your present space. Another thing that you can do is just take the time to notice where you are and what's going on around you. So smell the atmosphere and look around you and see what the room that you're in looks like. What type of things are you hearing? So just bring yourself back present. If you find yourself drifting away to stressful or anxiety-ridden thoughts about the future, or things about the past, or things regarding the past, just bring yourself back to the present, take a deep breath, or just be mindful of your surroundings and what's going on around you. Okay. So hopefully y'all are getting some value for these. Like I said, nothing too deep, but the biggest thing is just being conscious to actually do them. All right. Number 6, connect with loved ones. So foster emotional connections to enhance your mental well-being. So, the people that you get good vibes from, the people that make you feel good energetically, people who you just enjoy being around. You may need to be the person to initiate that phone call, or you may need to be the person to call that person up and just like, hey, just checking on you, just wanted to see how you're doing. Everything good? You may need to be the one to initiate that. Hey, you want to go out and catch a bite to eat and go and get some coffee or whatever the case may be. But be intentional be intentional about making connections with loved ones and people who provide or add value to your life. So here again, you can get all caught up in the hustle and bustle and the 20 things that you have to do, but take the time out and just really invest some time in those meaningful relationships. All right. So what might that look like? The action step for that is schedule quality time with family and friends, even if it's a virtual gathering, to nurture and support relationships. So it may be virtually, it may be someone that's out of state. With all of the technology, there's really no excuse for not connecting. So I challenge you, that person that you may have been thinking about, but you haven't spoken to them in the last couple of months or even years, pick up the phone this holiday season and just be like, yo, dog, just call and check on you, man. You good? All right. And the last tip is practice gratitude. I remember there was one particular Christmas where I don't think I got anything, man. And I was feeling some type of way. I went out of my way to buy gifts for a whole lot of different people. And that particular Christmas, like, I didn't get like much of anything. And I was really in my feelings. I didn't really say much about it, but I was just like, man, I really didn't get anything. Like, they didn't get me anything. And when I had time to really reflect on it, the thing that came to me is to just be grateful, practice gratitude for all of the great things that did happen that Christmas, just being around family and friends. And rather than focusing on what you don't have or what you didn't get, practice being grateful for what you do have. And any gift that someone does decide to get you, or anything that someone does where they made a conscious thought to think about you, I don't care how small that was, whether it was just a generic card or a phone call, practice gratitude for every single thing, man. And that'll definitely help keep you in a good headspace where your mental and emotional health is concerned. So focus on the positives to enhance your emotional well-being. So if you see yourself going down a certain line of thought and you starting to think like, man, I can't believe that they didn't even call her. Don't go there, because you're going to get stuck in one of those little mental garbage traps. Practice gratitude. Find something to be grateful for. It could be as simple as just being grateful for your health. It could be grateful for the family that you do have around you. Maybe you had a loved one that is no longer with you. And hey, remember them. Not saying not to go back and just not remember, but think about the grateful times. Think about the good times that you all had, so you don't fall into that funk of just it being such a low and depressing time of the year for you. And I know sometimes this may be easier said than done, but again, our focus is to help protect your financial, mental, and emotional well-being. So maybe you might even need to start a gratitude journal just to write some things that you're thankful for each day. I don't know. That may be too much for you, but the thing is, just focus on being grateful for what you do have. All right, so those are my 7 tips. Hopefully, you got some value out of those during this episode. Listen, I'm excited. This Black Friday, I'm going to be launching. Um, it's called Club Financial, and basically, it's designed to help you do 3 things. Number one, I want to help teach you the basics of personal finance. Number one. Number two, I want you to have a safe space where you can talk about and learn about money. So that's number two. And number three, I want you to take actions and develop habits that's going to help improve your overall financial wellness and put you on a path to financial independence. So I'm super excited about it. It's called Club Financial, and I'll send some information out about that in the next couple of days. But it's only $19.99, and you can cancel anytime that you want. But each month we're going to have 2 meetings each month. And the beautiful thing is, I'm going to have you, when you join, I just want a list of your top 5 financial questions or your wellness questions that you want to address. In the sessions that we come together, I'm just going to go through those questions, and that's what the session is going to be about. So you may have some questions on what kind of accounts should I open up for my savings, or where should I invest at? If that's one of your questions, you're just going to write those questions down. And when we start having our sessions, I'm going to address those specific sessions. So that's going to be something real exciting for 2025. So I got a special deal, like I said, going on throughout Black Friday. I'm going to waive the introductory fee, and it's just going to be that $19.99 introductory monthly fee. No introductory fee. Now, after that sale is over, we'll go and we'll have our introductory fee. But for Black Friday, we won't have that. Just $19.99, and we're going to teach you the basics of personal finance and help you create a game plan for your finances in 2025. So be on the lookout for more information on that. And that's it. So you all have a wonderful week. And we got one more week before Thanksgiving. So I'll see you with a new episode on next week. Talk to you later. Bye.